What's up, guys? Welcome to Only Film Fans, where two film buffs get into the thick of their favourite movies. So let's talk about directors. What do you think about Christopher Nolan? Do you think he's overrated?
Now, overrated is quite a harsh term to put on Christopher Nolan, because he does have like unbelievably great storytelling with his movies. Whether that be confusing to a lot of people or not, it's still a really great story. It's not, the one thing about like a lot of directors is like, yeah, they're very great, they're good at storytelling, but the story is just so clean, like anyone can watch it. You can watch it before you fall asleep. With a Christopher Nolan movie, you have to like be paying full ass attention the whole time. Even you have to watch it a couple times to understand it.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing is you talk about the storytelling there, and I remember watching this sort of clip. I think Christopher Nolan was like standing in front of a whiteboard, and you usually see like a storyline of any movie. No matter what it is, it has like the beginning, middle, end, right? It's the linear pattern of any movie. But then Christopher Nolan being this just what you would call a genius, some would call a genius and some would call like just you're trying too hard, mate. But he had this like circle instead of a linear timeline. He had this circle, and he was drawing out how he comes to his conclusion of this, like how the story flows. And he was also like implementing like the black and white scenes to show flashbacks and everything like that. And it was, his mind definitely works a lot different to your traditional storyteller or directors and whatnot. So yeah.
I mean, to be honest, the guy has been smashing it for a good few years. Like, whether you really like his movies or not, you can't really deny from the year 2000 with Memento up until literally last year with Oppenheimer, which I can still openly admit I haven't seen properly, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. The guy just smashes it. Not every single year, but I feel like he does take his time. There's actually quite a few films on his list that I wasn't even completely sure of. Like, I didn't know that he wrote the story for Man of Steel.
Yeah, me neither. But I mean, that's one that he can probably sort of push to the back of his catalogue, in my opinion. I didn't like the Man of Steel. Now it's mainly because of where the direction of DC is going. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation that we've had time and time again, you know. But nonetheless, I think him stamping his authority with the Batman trilogy is where it truly begins for Christopher Nolan.
Well, you did before that. I was about to say, oh no, sorry, Batman Begins was 2005.
It was after Memento.
Yeah, Batman Begins was 2005. I was about to talk about The Prestige.
Yeah.
Because obviously that's the thing with Christopher Nolan movies. A lot of people go to The Dark Knight, and I love The Dark Knight, and I love those Batman movies. Yeah. For me, the order goes like Dark Knight best, then Batman Begins, then number 3, because I didn't really like number 3. But it's a completely different topic. The Prestige, I think I love that movie. I think it's brilliant, and it's got Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale, and it's about magic, and it's got Michael Caine. It's a brilliant film if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen that film. No, I need to actually watch that.
If you haven't, I'd recommend you and whoever's listening to this to watch The Prestige. But I think it's a good film personally. It's about a magician. I don't want to give any because it's a Christopher Nolan story. I am not going to give anything away because obviously it has its twists and stuff like that. So I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't watched that film.
So you're just going to leave this? You're going to leave us dangling with that? You're just going to turn around?
I feel like personally, I feel like
just watch
the thing is, if you haven't seen that movie, if I say what the big what I love most about it is, like the big twist is, like it's going to completely ruin it. So, and I don't want to do that. I know it's like the movie's 2006, like if you haven't watched it by now, but obviously, hey, even you haven't. So
no, yeah, it's true. It's one of those films that has gone on under the radar for me. I think that nowadays, I know it's a little bit of a different topic, but I think nowadays we're kind of controlled by what's available on streaming platforms now. That's a completely different topic, but certain films like these, they sort of go under the radar. I do wish that there was a streaming platform that was tailored not so much to the average viewer but to the movie buff, where you could watch the catalogue of a director's work. That would be a great idea, but it's not that popular.
If you got a VPN, you can just put it to a different country.
Whoa!
Different countries, man. You can get it's
oh! We're not telling you to do that. We're not telling you to do that. Do it. We're not.
I totally am telling you to do that.
Yeah, no, you see, that's the thing, is the Prestige went under the radar for me, and I think that the way it went for me, for Christopher Nolan, was that he was never sort of a top director in my eyes, in terms, when I say that, I don't mean in his ability, I mean, I didn't value him to be like, oh, I'm going to watch the new Christopher Nolan film. It was, for me, it's always been Tarantino, Scorsese. Those are the two that, for any average person, I guess, gets you into loving films to a point where you start to analyze them and rewatch them.
I think that simply goes back to when I said to you before that just the mobster gangster movies are the best.
Yeah,
acting and acting wise, and that's probably why I think you say that. Yeah,
but it's you know, the equivalent.
I mean, Christopher Nolan. Let me see. Christopher Nolan ain't done a gangster movie.
Nah, not
maybe
at all.
Maybe he should.
Yeah, maybe, but then again,
I liked his style of gangsters in Batman. I think like Falcone and that was quite cool. They had that type of mobster vibe. I think he.
Yeah, he could probably do it, but I think that if you notice like the films that he tends to make, like bar the Batman series, because although the Batman series isn't really relatable, it's a superhero movie. You then look at like Interstellar and Tenet and Oppenheimer. Well, maybe not Oppenheimer because it is truer to life, but you look at
Inception. Inception's probably
Inception. Yeah, Inception as well. Yeah. Those sort of movies are a testament to the way that Christopher Nolan puts together a storyline, for sure, because they're just so confusing to the average, for the village idiot, which would be me. Like when I was watching Inception, I was like, I just don't get it.
I feel average, by even more than your average viewer, they're confusing.
Yeah. And you look at those sort of movies that he's done, they're a testament to what he's about. That's his style, that's what he loves to do. It's like we could ask Tarantino to do a gangster movie, but although you can argue, oh yeah, but he's kind of done it, it's like his style doesn't really, he's not Scorsese. That's Scorsese's style, bread and butter, you know, although he can do other things.
You're talking about old Italian mobster gangsters. That's like Scorsese style, sorry.
Yeah, to a T.
But hey man, like, to me, Vincent and Jules are gangsters.
That's why I said kind of done it.
So there's plenty. I mean, every single one of them in Reservoir Dogs is technically a gangster.
Yeah, it's just not how we'd associate. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. But it's not how we would.
Be Italian to be a gangster.
Yes, you do. No, it's true. It's true. But I think that Christopher Nolan, he probably would be good at it, because you're right. There are scenes in The Dark Knight that show that he can sort of direct that character. But I don't know.
Sit down.
Yeah, he did. But I don't know, like a part of me thinks that he'd just get bored and he'd go, right, okay, now let's just go and make this circular storyline. Yes, guys, yes. You know, it's, I don't know. It could be interesting.
In all fairness with you, you've been watching The Sopranos and you would have seen some of the dream sequences.
Oh, God. Yeah.
And those dream sequences do connect with his real life. So that is kind of Christopher Nolan-esque.
Yes, it was, especially with the pier scene where they're on fire.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
The more you, by the time you get to the end of it, you're going to see so many much more weirder episodes. Like,
yeah, I can imagine. Well, they got more money in the budget. Yeah,
exactly. But back to Nolan. Yeah, obviously we had the Batman Begins and Prestige, and then got like to the Dark Knight era, which is for me, I think we said previously in another podcast about the Joker, like that's one of the best movies there's been.
I think it's his masterpiece.
It goes past being a Batman. It isn't a Batman movie to me.
No,
it's literally just a movie about good and evil. Like that is just it. Like,
and that series,
clear indications.
And that series, apart from, I agree with you, Dark Knight Rises was a little bit lackluster, and I think that it wasn't necessarily, we've said it before, it might not have been the direction that they wanted to go, but The Dark Knight, I felt like, was a masterpiece that even toppled a lot of Marvel films that we see, and we class them as like these masterpieces in superhero movies. But with Nolan, I think that for me, it's my personal opinion, and I think Inception was him trying to show you the full extent of the way he sees movies. And thinks. Cool. I loved
the concept for that movie when it came out. It was brilliant.
I think it's incredible, and the special effects that they get, I said this about the Gladiator, Gladiator 2, and what we expect to see is sort of, I hope that CGI is now at a stage that it's not overdone, of course, because it can't be unrealistic, but you see how in Gladiator 1 you had like the tiger scenes, and it was done in a way that new CGI couldn't really be implemented here, so it had to be shot that way. Whereas now I think that we're at a level where it can look believable if done right, and I think Inception was a testament to where CGI and visual effects had gone.
Well, we are going a bit off topic, but this is the problem with CGI with nowadays. With the CGI is not catching up to the camera quality of what they're using.
Yeah. The
reason of why CGI looked better before is because we had the grainy aspect on TV. It kind of blended in. Now you're shooting in 4K and you're popping in a CGI person or whatever next to that 4K person. We are never ever going to believe that is a real thing.
Yeah, but it's also
not going to work because you can't trick our eyes because you're putting it in too clear.
Yeah. Do you know what though? This is a redeemable quality about Christopher Nolan, is the fact that I don't know if you know this, but in Oppenheimer, right? They shot on film, but they shot on a 70mm film, which is like high res for film, right?
Yeah.
And they needed black and white film, but it didn't exist. It did not exist, this 70mm IMAX film, and they actually worked with code. They were that strict on using film because of the feel of watching movie, the grain, as you said, that Kodak actually innovated this new film for Oppenheimer in black and white. And that's a redeemable quality of Christopher Nolan, is that he's not going to shoot on digital. But it is possible to recreate that film feeling, because you look at the Joker.
He's not doing Gladiator 2.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's very, very true. Yeah. But you look at the Joker. It is possible though, because you look at the Joker. The Joker wasn't filmed on film, and it feels it. And the reason that it feels it is because
they added the grain.
No, they did add the grain, you're right, and they color graded it to match those particular film stocks. But there's also the added element that not a lot of people think of, is that it was the lenses that they used on the Joker. So they used I can't remember if it was an Alexa camera, which is a digital camera, like you were saying, like the 4K, 8K sort of cameras and whatnot. But then what they did was they got old vintage lenses, like Zeiss lenses that are meant for film cameras, and got adapters so they could fit onto these cameras. And that's why there's something quite different with, I know we're going off topic, but I'll be quick. There's something quite different about using old glass and lenses in movies.
That was true.
There's a sort of perspective. Every lens has like a warp to it, because it's never perfect. Just like your eyes are like have some sort of warp. We all see things a little bit differently. They're not all bog standard factory setting eyes, and lenses are like that too. And that's what kind of I've noticed personally is gives you that old feeling that made cinema so like rich and almost artistic, is by using those lenses. And I think that Nolan does that naturally because he's using film cameras, you know. But when you start getting into the modern era where everything is perfect, that goes back to what you're saying, is that the quality of the picture is so great that now, and the sort of depth of the field, meaning like where, you know, the background and that, and where, you know, when you use different lenses and whatnot, the CGI just can't really keep up with how crisp that image is, and sort of all of those things. Our eyes just immediately detect something's wrong.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a diatribe. I apologize.
No, that's perfect. It's fine. But I mean, after that, The Dark Knight Rises, which we spoke about a little bit before, I've seen that he done the screenplay and the story for that. I was about to say, if it said written by, I think I would let him get away with it. But since you done the screenplay and the story, and you are responsible for having the final battle between Bane and Batman during the day, I have to say that you possibly could be overrated, sir, because who the fuck does that?
Yeah. Like, who the fuck?
I'm sorry. And then, like, you made Bane to be out this big ass character, and he gets shot, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Bro, that was your main battle at the end. It was during the day, number one. Like, I want any Batman fan out there to tell me that that fight should have been during the day, apart from nighttime, when Batman's meant to be fighting.
Oh, you're gonna get them.
Show me one comic. I don't give a fuck. Show me him. I want to see him then. Show me the comic book strip where Batman is fighting Bane during the day.
The funny thing is, you said that about, oh, you wrote the screenplay and playing the story. I think he got the credit in the bank because he did the same for The Dark Knight, man. So, yeah, you trusted him to do that.
I said if it said, I trusted him to do that, and then that film was fine because there was hardly anything during the day. There was like the scene where Joker hasn't got his makeup on and he goes to shoot. He's trying to kill Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah.
Is there any other shot that's during the day in that film? No, because it's a fucking Batman movie.
Oh, no.
Come out at night, bro.
Yeah, but you have to be corrected because the Joker, although Batman went around, so it kind of strengthens your point, but the Joker blew up that hospital in the daytime, okay?
Yeah,
he blew it up in
Batman wasn't there to save him
because he was sleeping.
Because he's being Bruce Wayne during the fucking day.
Well, he just had to work overtime in the Dark Knight Rises. Come on, man.
It's like literally in the ethos of Batman. He's Bruce Wayne during the day and Batman at night.
He's Bruce. He's. I can't even repronounce what you just said. You just went
Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne during. He's Bruce Wayne during the day and Batman at night.
Yeah. Well, look.
So
yeah, I see what you're saying.
Making my book for that movie.
See, the thing is, it's like a wax lyric. Go on. No. Go. Because I'm taking somewhere else.
I was moving on. I was going to say after that you had Man of Steel, which was just another flop.
Yeah, in my opinion. Yeah.
For me, like, I don't like Superman. It's like it's going to be hard to put me onto a character like that anyway. And then after that you had Interstellar, which is a good film. Bit sad.
It's just not my cup of tea.
It's one of those things I don't like coming out of the cinema going, oh, that was pretty depressing.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That's exactly what I want. I want to be taken out of my like normal life to be depressed. That's what I pay for.
Yeah. Essentially, I just paid for a night, 120 minutes of depression. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like some films can do that to you.
Brilliant acting though. I mean, you got to give it to them for what they done.
Interstellar's just you'll be the you'll be the authority on Interstellar because films like that just don't interest me. I'll be honest. I haven't seen it, and I'm not gonna shit on it because I haven't seen it.
Beautifully shot.
Well,
beautiful shots in it.
It's Christopher Nolan. I know I'm gonna get that much, but sci-fi films in that sort of vein, they just never have interested me like that. Just I don't know what it is.
Have you seen Dunkirk?
I've seen parts of Dunkirk because I watched a little bit of Dunkirk and I said I don't have the facilities for this. I need to watch this. I never got. You don't have the facilities for that, big man. Like, I honestly, it's like Godfather and films like that. There's films where I look at and I go, I miss my chance in the cinema, and I don't have the facilities to truly enjoy this film. I need to do something about certain films. There's like films on my list, and Dunkirk's one of them. But what I did see,
Godfather's much above Dunkirk, trust me.
Okay, but what I did see of Dunkirk, I was pretty impressed. In all honesty,
like the shooting scenes. Like, to be honest, like I haven't really watched it, but I remember when my dad done his Spitfire experience, I put like a video together of him in that movie. Like in the footage I had. It's actually on YouTube. You can find that. If you like search Dunkirk Dad, I think it comes up.
Oh, that's cool. That is really cool.
Yeah.
Have you seen
That's
Tenet
always on the
though?
internet now. Yeah, I have seen Tenet. I've seen it twice. I still
What
don't understand it truly.
What do you think of it,
But I
though?
do like it.
Okay.
I liked it, man. I thought the action scenes were cool. Like when a movie shows me something I haven't really seen before, I'm into it. It's like it's showing me something different. It doesn't have to be that great. I like new things. So I thought it was quite cool.
Yeah.
Very hard to understand. Robert Pattinson's great. The other actor, I forget his name. Let me get it up.
Oh yeah, no, I know who you're talking. He's incredible.
John David Washington. Yeah, he's a great actor.
So good, man. He's so good. Him in Black Klansman is incredible.
Also, like what I like about it as well is like if you look at the names of all the people in the movie, you got Robert Pattinson, Neil, John David Washington, protagonist, and then there's another person called the passenger. Another one's called well dressed man, uniformed official, driver, SWAT 1, SWAT 2. It's like they've all got the basic name. It's like you didn't even bother to give them name. There's like the first, like when you're writing the script on the first like few days.
It's a draft.
Fleshed out your characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, no, fuck it. These names are cool. Yeah, they're cool enough.
Random guy in back.
Yeah. Got a credit for random guy in back.
Yeah. Honestly, who'd you play in that movie? Random guy in back.
Like, literally, you could check it. And well, what did you think of Tenet? Did you see it?
I didn't see it entirely. I'll be honest with Dunkirk is one of those films where I watched and I said I've got to watch this properly. Tenet is one of those films that I've said I watched part of it and went, I actually don't care for I don't care for this.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
See, now what got me was I need to fucking watch this to understand it now because I've invested like a good hour already. Like I need to understand this shit.
But that's the thing is like I just don't see the reward of understanding it. Like when I look at films like Tarantino's universe, right? And I watch them over and over again, and there's some films that you don't first understand. Like The Hateful Eight, I think is one of those films that you don't quite understand first time around. There are some little intricacies that you're gonna miss. And because I know that the way that he thinks, or at least the way that he's done it in the past where he'll leave little hints to a universe, that's where I find the reward. Like you look at Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there is this one particular scene where they go to a drive-through cinema and you start to see the opening of like Kill Bill, and I'm like, how does this and people will have their explanations for it, of course they're gonna have their theories, but I want my own theory. I want to figure it out, you know. And that's where I find the reward. Whereas Christopher Nolan's universe, if you would call it that, there isn't one. So films like Inception or Tenet, I don't see the reward in trying to truly understand them. But that's maybe me being an idiot, but it's just how I perceive them.
It's completely up to you for what you like and what you don't like.
So my question would be, because you know I didn't try to give it time, what was your conclusion of Tenet? What did you understand it to be? So
it's been a while since I watched it now. I can't even remember.
No, that's fine.
As I said, I watched it twice. I said I watched it twice and I still didn't really understand it.
That's what I find with some Christopher Nolan films, man. Like Inception for me. I'm like, okay, cool. Whatever.
Inception I understand. That's pretty...
Okay, give me Inception, because I tried, and then
I just go into your dream and control your dreams, essentially. And then with that, they can basically give you ideas of what to do in the real life. How they do it, and like, is it a dream at the end? I think since the thing keeps spinning, you would probably say yeah, but like, I don't think it really matters. Like, and again, I don't really think his films are there to really make a great deal of sense. This is the problem of when I don't know how he writes his stories. If he writes his stories scene by scene, you're gonna make a story that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
The thing is, of how I like to write is I have my beginning, and I like to have my end of where it's gonna be. I need to have those two things to start. Otherwise, I don't know where the fuck I'm gonna be.
Yeah.
You know, like, you need to. Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, with Wenlock, we knew by the end what we wanted to have with most of our characters.
Yeah, we had a rough indication
from the get go. Yeah, from the get go of what the idea was like. But
yeah, it's true.
Then more things come out it. Well, I think maybe he has these crazy ideas. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he knows something we don't. But I guess it does go down to the main question: is Christopher Nolan overrated? And what would you say?
I would say overrated. Potentially overrated, because now it depends on. I don't want to get into it. I'll say the simple answer and the complex answer. I do think he's overrated. And the complex answer is that I think that people get emotionally charged when you say overrated. But whoever's listening right now, I guarantee you, in your life, you're overrated in some way, shape, or form, and you're gonna be like, "Whoa, wait a minute, no, I'm not." You are, because there's gonna be something that people expect you could do, and you can't. And with Christopher Nolan, the reason why I do think he's overrated is because he receives this sort of genius like praise when I don't think what he does is quite genius, in my opinion. I just don't think he's at that level of genius where he's, in some ways he's innovated cinema, of course, because you look at the Kodak situation, that in itself is a technological innovation that was driven by him. But in terms of how we perceive cinema, I don't think it's, I think he's overrated for sure. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a simple answer. Yeah, because of that whole Batman fighting during the day scene, overrated.
see my answer was like, I think he's overrated because in life, like, you know, this philosophical reason, and then yours just like, he's overrated because he fucked up my Batman trilogy.
Yeah, he literally picked it up in broad daylight and he scratched it. Like,
scratched.
I'm sorry, bro. Like yeah, he literally scratched my CD, and it's like I can't let that go. I just simply can't. The ending of Dark Knight Rises is just so terrible.
Do you know what I don't like is I hate people that are trying to be clever, and that's kind of how I felt. I felt Inception was like, oh wow, he is quite clever. This is quite decent. But then Tenet, from what
someone needed to turn around to him and just be like, just make the fucking Batman movie.
Yeah, just make the fucking movie.
It's a fucking Batman movie. Just make a fucking Batman movie.
Yeah, honestly, but he must like he must walk into these like production, you know, these meetings that they have to like get the scope of where you're gonna go with the film and this, that, the other. He must famoose them so well. He must. So basically, we're gonna talk about the intersectionality of like the human brain and and they're like, oh my god, yeah, Christopher, yeah, oh my god. We're really saying fuck all, and someone needs to sit there and go, hey, come on, shut the fuck up and make the Batman film. Come on. You know, that's what you need.
That's it.
But yeah. So, the conclusion. Overrated. Thank you for listening, guys. If you like the content, please subscribe to the channel, and we will see you next time.